Welcome to Security Weekly. I'm your host, Matt Alderman. We are recording live, day 2 of Black Hat 2019. We're in our suite at Mandalay Bay. And joining me for this interview is Ozzy Cohen, co-founder and general manager for North America from
Correct.
WhiteSource.
Correct.
Welcome.
Hey,
You
good
and
to see
I,
you.
yeah, it's good seeing you again. You and I did a briefing last year at the
Correct.
Pool Cabana. This year, like I said, we decided to come indoors and be a little cooler this year. Um, but I want to get some updates on
Sure.
WhiteSource and kind of where you are. But before we go there, I'm a big application security
Sure.
a fan, really. I see what's happening with digital transformation and how applications are changing and the use of open source and all the things that are going on, which is really interesting to watch. And I think it creates a lot of challenges.
Correct.
And so before we get into WhiteSource, what are some of the challenges you're seeing with open source software and the
Sure.
components of how software is being built?
So, the best way to describe these changes, and I have this dialogue with so many CIOs and CISOs, you know, they look at their environment almost like a Swiss cheese, where those holes are the open source components. The only thing that they don't get or they don't understand or they miss is that they have more holes than cheese right now.
Mm,
So if you look at today's modern development environment, open source is used vastly. That's the
mhm.
right way to bring new stuff, new code to the market quickly, efficiently.
Right.
Why not doing that, right? But then, if you have more open source there than your own code, and you have more eyes looking at the open source, finding more vulnerabilities,
Hmm.
quality issues, but also fixing them, the issue of writing new code, genuine code, stops being how fast you can write line of code. It's more about how you orchestrate
Mm,
all those open source components,
right.
make sure that you bring in only the right stuff, kick out stuff you don't want
Right.
upfront at the gate, and once things are changing, you know, prioritize, fix or change and replace very quickly to make sure that you maintain a secure environment, right?
Right.
And qualified environment. So the shift from the need to write a lot of line of codes to the need to orchestrate,
Hmm.
large group of open source components and
Yeah.
make sure that all of them are in the right places, the right quality, without too many bugs and too many security risks. This is the challenge. And I think that this is the biggest shift that I've seen also in the entire market, where clients start to understand,
Hmm.
without automating this process,
Hmm.
without giving the right tool to the security people, to the DevOps people, even to the developers.
Hmm.
They are the ones that do that.
Right.
Who is orchestrates that?
Yeah.
That's not a CISO.
No.
That's not a CIO. It's the developer,
Yeah.
right? So without taking care of all that, they will not be able to move on with, and continue producing more and more genuine code for themselves. So I think this is a huge change. It's hard to understand how big is this change, which is actually very positive, by the way.
Yeah, if we think about the old way of developing code, you had this big monolithic piece of
Sure,
code. It would take months and months and months to
sure,
to, to build or to get a release together. Open source has allowed us to speed that up. DevOps, cloud, all these components have allowed
sure.
us to do this. And so you're right. It creates this. It's great for business and the speed of what business needs to do to get new features and capabilities out. But it puts security kind of in a bind because security is not used to a couple aspects, right? They're not used to the speed of deployment.
Correct.
If we think about traditional security, I when I ever talk about this topic, I'd ask the question: how many people scan their network monthly? Right? Bunch of hands go up.
Right.
Weekly, fewer hands go up. Daily, how about it multiple times a day? Right? DevOps allows you to potentially release multiple times a
Of
day.
course.
So this environment's changed very, very fast. So, lots of people talk about shifting left and DevSecOps and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, how do we get the right tooling to the right people at the right time to help ease this transition? And I think that's a lot of where WhiteSource comes in putting some of these tools in the developers and the DevOps hands
Correct.
that also help security at the end, but they may not be used by the security teams. They're really being used by dev and DevOps, right?
So you'll be surprised. Okay. So we recognized this fact quite a while ago. The way we saw it, is that under the model of software composition analysis,
Mm-hmm.
what is analysis? You
Right.
do some work, you find you get a report,
Yeah.
security report, compliance. What do you do with that? If you're a security guy, what do you do with that? You go to developers and beg for time to fix it.
No,
You
you
know,
just hand them the report and go,
so
here,
what?
fix all this.
So
Yeah, right.
and so what? They do other stuff,
Yeah.
right? So obviously there's a need to shift the responsibility of fixing to someone else, those that write the code. But
Mm-hmm.
just shifting responsibility doesn't make anything. You have to give them the tools to do
Right.
that. And for the first time, and that's what we are so proud of, right? We're able to take all those policies and bill of material and information and prioritization that were on the right-hand side of the house, which is the security guys that
Right.
have a report, and translate it into real-time actions for the developers at their speed, at their time.
Right.
So we created what we call a web advisor that help the developer when they go out and search for the first time for a new components to see if someone else is using it
Mm.
in the company, if this comply with company policies, if it has too many vulnerabilities, or even before they bring it in,
Mm-hmm.
they know it will fit or not. They still can bring it in because they may need it. There's
Right.
no other option. Okay, so once they write the code now, same thing in real time within their IDE or development environment,
Mm-hmm.
they will see immediately. Hey, this version, this open source version have those vulnerabilities. If I pick the next one, it has less, and still they can bring it in. And if later on there will be some issue coming back, whatever, we push to them directly a remediation option.
Mm.
Click here and it will fix it by the latest fix, right? So these are the kind of tools that are at the hands of developers
Right.
in their own environment. It takes the software composition analysis knowledge,
Right.
policies,
But puts it
push it
into
exactly,
puts it into actionable things into their tool set
exactly
that
with,
help them resolve it.
and they don't have to leave their environment for that.
Right.
So everything else is behind the scene. This is powerful. I'm telling you, this is going to change the way companies will write their code.
I think it will change a lot about the way we secure
Of
applications,
course,
right? Because we've always done this at the end of the process, right?
too
So
late.
development go off, build their code, do all their unit testing, then they hand it to security and they throw a SAST or a DAST at it or an IAST and they run all these tool sets
Too late.
and they come up with all these vulnerabilities and then they go back to the development team. So, all right, got to fix all this before you go in production. That's not the way to secure the application.
There's a research that shows that on one hand, the number of vulnerabilities, open source and other vulnerabilities, is growing year over year, but also on the open source side. But hackers know that companies will replace those very quickly. So they try to exploit new vulnerabilities as fast as possible before they are fixed. So that means that the IT have more work to do to track new vulnerabilities and less time to fix it. So without automation, without delegation to the right people, and you know what? Without giving them tools they like,
Yeah.
developers will never take something they hate.
Yeah. And developers aren't going to log into a security tool
Correct.
to go look at the report
Correct.
for their application to go, oh, I need to go fix these three things.
Correct.
If we're not giving that data back to them into their tools,
They will never use it.
they're never going to use it.
And
And I think that's a wake up call to some security companies because every security company for years wanted everybody into their tool, their interface, right? They thought if they could create that stickiness of everybody coming into their tool, they wouldn't be that single pane of glass. It doesn't work in DevOps. That concept doesn't work here. The single pane of glass are the developer tools
Correct.
for the guys who are building it. It's not the security tool.
so these are exciting times. I seriously think that for the first time I can see security, operation, developers, you know, as a hub and spokes, right? Can use the same repository of open source component, the vulnerabilities, the licenses in different ways by one company or one vendor that give them all the tools that they need. So for the security guys, we provide the report.
Right.
For the developers, we give them the real-time decision ability
Right.
to take the right decision. For those that maintain, the automatic remediation, right?
Right.
All these things. I think this is huge.
It's huge. Any updates recently from WhiteSource? I mean, you and I spoke a year
Sure.
ago at this event. Any recent updates that you want to share with the audience?
So we are keep on growing 200% year over year. The biggest change right now that we see, and also in the company wise, we did was that we created a small team that the only thing they do right now is address the Fortune 1000.
Mm.
Because what we realized that, while we were able to hit the hardcore, the early adopter portion of the Fortune 1000, some of them are still lagging behind. So, and there is need to do some education, some explanation. So right now we proactively go out and invest time and effort in order to do that. This also allows us to do something that we'd never done before. As a company, we were always been able to be the innovators by the fact that we were talking with our clients, listening, and
Right.
add all those feature functions. But we missed this portion of the market that never called us before.
All right.
So this brings us, a total new kind of dialogue, of the majority of the market. This is a great feedback for us. Give us new direction. It created some very unique roadmap features that, I, I'll have to kill you if I'll have
Okay.
to tell you
Yeah.
that, or
Oh, you
anyone
can
on the
tell me
audience.
later when they come out.
Okay,
We'll cover them on the show
but
anyways.
but these are extremely exciting capabilities, and we are trying to pitch it right now very directly
Hmm.
to the right people. As I said, it helps us also to refine our own roadmap, and we see a great success in that. It's really these are great time for us right now.
That's great. If people want to learn more about WhiteSource, where should they go?
They should go to our website. Under the content side, we have tons of stuff, almost on any area that you may wish, and think about innovation, etc. But people can always call us at whitesource, software.com. We have this chat capability where people can ask questions. We have a lot of requests to participate
Hmm.
in sometimes in discussions. Large corporate want to put some strategy. You and I know that the book of how to manage open source security was not written yet.
Right.
With so many clients, we were able to gather that information. We are happily, share that knowledge with others. So, people just have to call us, and we'll be more than happy to address any question.
That's great. Ozzy, thanks for
Hey,
joining us.
thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're
Always
welcome.
pleasure meeting you.
Yes, that's always good. And thanks for watching. We'll return soon.